Well, the problems for First Republic Bank really began a couple months ago with the collapse of another lender based out here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley Bank. And when customers of First Republic saw what had happened with that bank, we started to see them really pulling out their deposits. And we realized how bad that was last week when First Republic announced that around $100 billion had actually been taken out of the bank in the first 3 months of the year. So when you combine that with the rising interest rates that we've seen over the past year from the Federal Reserve, suddenly First Republic's low interest rate loans that it had offered to its wealthy clientele were not an attractive asset anymore. And as I mentioned, they had lost all this money in deposits. So there really was no way to kind of make that all work. And that is when we saw federal regulators step in and essentially find this buyer in the form of J.P. Morgan Chase, negotiate this takeover of First Republic Bank, which now will be folded into J.P. Morgan Chase, which is the largest bank in the U.S. Now, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation's insurance fund had to use about $13 billion of its own funds to make this transaction happen. Of course, the Biden administration was quick to point out that that was not taxpayer money. That was from a fund that the banks themselves pay into. So besides just getting bigger here, J.P. Morgan Chase also had an interest in maintaining some stability in the U.S. banking sector, given all of the turmoil. And that is the big question now when we've seen the collapse of now 3 banks over the past couple months. The question is whether this contagion might continue or whether this crisis has effectively been resolved because of the J.P. Morgan purchase. So some optimism when you look at the fact that other bank stocks have been steady despite this collapse, but given the pace with which all of this has unfolded, concern still about the health of the U.S. banking sector. Ira Spitzer, SABC News, San Francisco.